So I was just thinking, and I was just talking to God about it, but it's really interesting to me that a lot of the answers, and a lot of times when you hear from the Lord, or just in general, if you're looking for answers for something, that a lot of times that comes from silence and just being by yourself, being away from the chaos, being away from the noise. Maybe it's, being in your car by yourself, or it's being in your apartment room by yourself, or just anywhere by yourself and just blocking out the noise, turning off the social media. I just think it's really important to be silent in this day and age. I think it's very hard to be silent in this day and age, but I think it's one of the most beneficial things that we could do, especially as young people, is to be silent. And I think that'll give us a step ahead, because a lot of times we're just going, and we're like, I feel like our generation is very ambitious, and we're always going and we're seeking the goal, or we're looking at other people's lives and looking at how they're successful. But a lot of times, the most beneficial thing for us to do is to turn all of that off and to sit in silence and just see where your thoughts go. See what really sits on the throne of your heart. Because in silence, a lot of times, that's when you realize what's most important to you. So maybe you're silent and you're just thinking, and the thing that's overwhelming your mind is your career. Well, then maybe that is the thing that's leading you, and maybe you need to take a step back and to get your priorities in order. Maybe you're sitting in silence and you have Jesus on your mind 24/7. Well, then that's a good thing. That's a good indication that God's on the throne of your heart. And even if you're not religious, I would just say, sitting in silence, it's just so, a lot of times people are just so desperate to just jump forward and to make progress. But sitting in silence, you realize what matters. You can get your priorities in order, and you can really figure out who you are as a person and how you're supposed to make a difference in the world. But if we're just going, the only thing we see is our goal, and we don't see anything around us. We don't see the beauty to our right or our left. We're just looking at that goal that's just in front of us. And a lot of times that can be chaotic, because it's something that it might be something that it's hard to reach. And so you're always striving for something, and you're never at peace. And I just think that being in silence is so important. It's therapeutic. And I was listening to an audiobook the other day. It's called Dopamine Nation. It's by Anna Lembke, who's a psychiatrist. And she was talking about how boredom creates the necessary space for new thoughts to form. So whether you're, if your mind is always cluttered with things, your mind is always going to be going, and you're not going to have new thoughts to form in your mind. Maybe you'll have new thoughts, but maybe it's linked to whatever you were watching that day, or whatever you were reading that day, or whoever you were hanging out with that day. But a lot of times when you're just silent, new, original, authentic thoughts form. And then a lot of times those are the most important thoughts in your day. A lot of times those thoughts in your mind it's the Holy Spirit, or it's God talking to you. And you wouldn't even know that, because you're not taking time to be silent. And so that is one of the things that has just changed my life tremendously. Just learning how to be silent, to have quiet time, to sit in my chair or lay in my bed and just try not to think about really anything at all, but just be silent and just listen. And through that, I've gotten a lot of direction from the Lord. He's starting to show me who I'm supposed to be as a man, and he's just teaching me how I'm supposed to love other people. And I couldn't have understood these things if I didn't take time to sit in silence. And honestly, I think it's one of the most important parts of your day. It should be, at least, just sitting in silence. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. I just think it's super important to have that quiet time and just get away from the chaos. Because half of the times you're on social media, you're going to these parties, you're talking to these people 24/7, you're always on your phone, texting, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all these things. And you're only consuming what other people are giving you. You're only consuming what other people are doing. Sitting in silence, authentic thoughts form in your mind, and you start to become a more authentic person. So if you're struggling with, your identity as a human being and who you are and who you're meant to be, I would strongly suggest get away from the noise, get away from Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, YouTube, all these things that are influencing you. Even if you think that they're influencing you in the right way, I would just get off of it, sit in silence, and figure out who you are as a person. And figure out who God made you to be as a person. So yeah, that's something that's just changed my life. Just sitting in silence and understanding how important it is. So hopefully this helps, but I just wanted to talk about that, make a video about that.